Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the CAS 360 Singapore Level 1 training today. My name is Jennifer, and I will be your trainer for today's session to go through the fundamentals and basics of CAS 360. So just housekeeping matters before we proceed with the training. Everybody in this session will be on mute, except myself. So all your questions, kindly put your questions in a Q&A box down in your Zoom toolbar. Secondly, I have also posted in the link for the soft copy manual of today's session so that you can also view it in your own free time, share it with your colleagues, and also come into the session and use it anytime you want to do a refresher. All right. So in this today's session, we're going to cover the fundamentals of CAS 360. So I'm just going to see if you can see my page over here. So what are we going to cover in today's session? I hope everybody can hear. Can you still are you still hearing me, or am I still on mic, on silent? Let me know if I'm still on silent so that I can adjust my microphone. All right. I hope everybody can hear me now. So I'm going to come back to my slide over here. So in today's session, we're going to go through how to get started with CAS 360. So in the lesson number 1, we're going to learn the step-by-step through process of getting your CAS 360 set up and ready for your firm. We're also going to go through loading the companies in CAS 360, which includes your full company registration documents set, using the search registry feature to quickly search and import your company data. We're also going to learn company address changes, how to add and edit company address in CAS 360 database and prepare the relevant forms. We're also going to learn in this lesson how to change or edit your contacts and addresses, which is quite a very commonly asked questions as a new user of CAS 360. In your lesson number 4, we're going to cover the officer's changes and also adding in a bank account, which will effectively help you to produce opening of bank account resolutions for your incorporation document. Members changes, we're going to go through different types of share transaction and do an exercise on allotment of shares, transferring some shares, and also we're going to learn how to automate document deadline reminders during the members' changes. We're also going to cover on the topic of nominee shareholders and registrable controllers and document review. Lesson number 6 will cover on the company name changes. How do we prepare the necessary and relevant forms and documents? And lastly, your documents. So we will distinguish the difference between a global documents and company documents, and how do we manage all the document status as well. So again, just a quick reminder that your PDF session, rather the PDF training manual can be found in your webinar chat. So we're going to go through this along the way during our exercise in our training session. So I hope everybody of you can see this manual. So we'll be using a couple of exercises in this session as well. So I would highly recommend you to bookmark this particular link so you can use this as a reference or refresher, or if you need to refresh your memory or refer to this manual as well. So again, this PDF manual training can be found on your webinar chat of your Zoom. This has been posted on your screen. Again, I'm just gonna repost it again for those of you who just logged in. So you can find this on your webinar chat. All right. So I'm just gonna share again 1 second. I hope everybody, do let me know, probably anyone who can try to type into the webinar chat. Kindly please try to type in the webinar chat just to test if it's working, because right now I can only see my text and Amy's. So for those of you who are willing to test out by typing into the webinar, just feel free to put in as well. All right, so let's get started. Now, if you already have the manuals with you, I'll be going through the page 5 of the manual, which is getting started. So in this lesson, we're going to go through the fundamentals of how to set up your CAS 360 and also the different navigation and tools that can be found, including your toolbars, your menu bar, and also your resource hub. So when you log into CAS 360, automatically, this will bring you to the main dashboard of the software. If you're still starting up with CAS 360, you will see that this particular page over here will be empty. So your company selection will be empty. And if you already have migrated some companies, you've tested out, it will appear in your company selection. So on the left-hand side, you'll find over here what we call the navigation toolbar. So essentially, your navigation toolbar is where you can find all the beautiful features in CAS 360, including your company selection, so which will bring you to the main dashboards and your advanced filters. Your trust, if you're managing some trust companies. Your contacts, so all the contacts, whether it's your officers, shareholders, auditors, or any contacts that you add in CAS 360 will be saved under your global contacts. And in this contacts and addresses, you'll also be able to view all the addresses that you have added in. And on this section over here, you'll have your annual return filing process. So this is where you can process your annual return. So this topic will cover this a little bit more on the level 2 session next week. And right over here, you have the multi-company changes. So again, this topic will be covered a little bit more on your CAS 360 level 2 session. Freeform documents. The freeform documents allows you to produce your customized documents that is outside your standard resolutions and forms produced by CAS 360. So things like your onboarding letters and such. And here you have your documents tab, so which we're going to cover a little bit more in depth in your last lesson of the CAS 360 level 1. Your messages, these are all the communication between CAS 360 API application integrated in CAS 360, like your ACRA and also your digital signing, and also all the emails you send out from CAS 360 to your client, your reports. Reports 2 is where you'll be able to generate different management reports. This is also where you can generate your full stack of company registers and also your registrable controller listing report. And lastly, your settings. So your settings, this is where you'll be able to add in your lodgement or agent settings, which is your core path as required for you to do when you do the annual return filing via CAS 360 or import companies from ACRA into CAS 360 by purchasing or using our ACRA import tool. This is also where you'll be able to find your document templates, email templates, electronic signing settings if you use digital signing, and your automated reminders. So I'm going to cover a little bit more in depth in these tools in the next week's CAS 360 Level 2 sessions as well. So I see that I think we had a bit of a technical issues for now. All right, so can you, I hope people can see. So let me just share again the link. Hope everybody can see. So just need somebody to type in anything in the webinar chat if you're able to respond back to my message. All right, I hope you're able to see the link as well. All right. All right. That's great. Thank you so much for helping. All right. So again, a quick reminder, all your Q&A, please put it into the Q&A box as well. So the webinar chat will be exclusively for all the useful links that I'll be sharing to you along the way during the training sessions. All right, so I'm going to go back to my CAS 360. I hope that is sorted out. So on your page 9, you will see the different types of, just a quick rundown of what of those description for all the menu, the features in your menu bar. And I just want to go and quickly cover this section over here, which you also can find in your page 9. So next to your navigation bar, you have over here what we call advanced filter. So advanced filter allows you to filter based on the jurisdiction that you are working on. So by default, it selects all the jurisdictions, and it will show to you all the alerts available for all the jurisdictions. So for example, if you want to specifically work on Singapore, you can simply select another jurisdiction to filter Singapore. And this will also automatically filter alerts available specifically for Singapore-only companies. So you have over here the AGM alerts, your annual return alerts, your email as well. So this one, I'll share a little bit more this on a link. So we're not gonna cover this today, but I'll be sharing this link later on as well. And in the advanced filter, you'll be able to see labels and also your deactivated companies. I'm just going to quickly share this particular deactivated. So this is not in your manual, but I just want to highlight on this, especially when you want to deactivate a company that is part of your 12-month subscription. So when you deactivate a company in CAS 360, so I'm just going to go back to my selection. So in the CAS 360, you're able to deactivate a company. So we don't call it delete, as we don't delete the companies. Otherwise, the data will be disappeared. So we make sure that you have the ability to restore it back in case that you need to restore it back to your license. So in your company selection, you have the ability to deactivate a company by simply going to your company selection and selecting the company. Each company will have this row called Option tab, and you can select Deactivate. You will receive a warning that are you sure you want to deactivate the company? This will be included in your subscription until false. Please refer to the help guide or subscription agreement form. And once you deactivate the companies, this will then appear in your list of deactivated companies. So something to take note as well, if this particular question, the icon is in red, it means that this deactivated company is not included within your 12 months. However, if it's in green icon, that means that even if you deactivated this company during your 12-month subscription, it still takes up that license, or what you call the slot, in your CAS 360 subscription. So we will only refresh the counter upon renewal of your license for their next subscription year. All right, so I'm just going to go back to my advanced filter. Hope that's pretty clear. So this is quite a common question as well as you come along. All right. So this is how you filter your advanced filter to the jurisdiction that you want to work on. So again, it's on your advanced filter. If you want to select another jurisdiction, you can simply select that over here. All right. So I have a question of if you can't find the other jurisdiction, you need to check with your account owner as well if you have the license or have the admin rights. So I suppose you are able to, most of the users will have access to that. But if you are still struggling or if you don't see this part of your screen, just kindly email me or log a support ticket as well. All right. So next I want to go through is what we call your global search function. So right over here on this section, this is a very powerful search engine which allows you to search navigate your company, trust, contact, or documents. So you can find a particular company. For example, I want to look for CAS Singapore company. So this will help me jump right into the profile of the company I'm looking. So rather, this is a contact. So if I'm looking for a company, for example, right, this will bring me to the profile of the company. So you'll have over here my general details, name, registrations, my registered office address or registered addresses, or even my registrable controllers. and officers, and so on. So I'm going to go through this again one more time. But essentially, the global search allows you to search for either your company, trust, or contact quickly in the software. Another example, let's say if I want to search for a particular contact, so you can see over here, I have multiple contacts. I want to go to that particular person's contact. This will bring me to my contacts page. You can see over here, directly, it brings me to my contacts. So instead of navigating into your company selection to look for that particular company, or going to your contacts and address to search, scroll away, you can always use our search, global search function in CAS 360. This is also a very quick tip and trick as well in the global search, which may not be covered in your manual, is that sometimes you have a company that's also either a subsidiary, or let's say they have they're only a contact, for example. All right. So an example is CAS Singapore. CAS. Right. So you have over here, you can tell whether this particular contact is a company or a company contact. What does that mean? So if, for example, I go to company, if I select this, it means this is the company itself with all your officers, your shareholders. This is the company that you are servicing. Whereas if I were to type in CAS and select this one over here, company, and with a bracket contact, it means that they are a contact only. So you're not servicing these clients, but they exist as a contact in your global contacts. So it's usually common when you have, let's say, the bank, the auditor. If it's not the auditor, it's not a person's name, but the auditor as a firm's name. Or if you have a corporate shareholder, you can save this under the contacts. So that's a very quick tip. So to know whether you're selecting the correct, whether it's a company or a contact. Next, I want to go through, so now just briefly go through this part. So I want to put your attention on the top right corner of your CAS 360 over here. So before I cover all this topic, I want you to focus your attention on this section over here, which is what we call the BGL app switcher. So the BGL app switcher allows you to switch between different applications within the ecosystem of BGL. Whether it's going to your My BGL. So I'm sure that some of you are quite familiar with My BGL. So when you first started with the software, you received an access to My BGL that allows you to access on your products, billings, and register for your trainings. I'm just going to quickly go through this process so that you'll know the difference between CAS 360 and My BGL as well. So My BGL is your administrative portal that allows you to manage your products that you have subscribed for with BGL. So in this case, for Singapore, we only sell CAS 360 software license, so you'll only be able to see CAS 360. So for other jurisdictions like our Australian, like Australia, for example, you have they do offer other types of software products in the jurisdiction, so they'll be able to see different products. So for now, you only have a CAS 360. So under the CAS 360, under the products, This is where you also be able to see the status of your product, how many licenses that you have used up, and against the number of licenses that you have purchased. It will also show to you the purchase date and expiry date. All right. And who is the main admin or contact over here. If you wish to upgrade your license, you can simply click on the upgrade button. So if, for example, you have subscribed for 100 companies for the first 12 months, but in between that 12-month subscription, you want to upgrade to 50 more companies, you can simply click on upgrade and the system will automatically generate an invoice for you, which will show under your billing section. So also something that, so because this is a demo account, I can't produce any of these. So essentially, if, for example, you want to be able to calculate the price of an upgrade, when you click on upgrade, there will be a section for you that shows how does this calculation of upgrade came about, right? So that's under the product. Your billing will be all the billing invoices that has been generated, whether it's a upgrade invoice, renewal invoice for your next 12 months upon the expired for your first 12 months, or if you are using our Accra import tool to purchase company registration data from Accra into CAS 360, or if you're requesting for any other services that's not within CAS 360. You'll be able to see all the billing information. Payment details. This is where you need to set up your payment method. If you want to automatically be able to make the payment automated, you don't have to do the bank transfers and all that. You can add in your credit card or corporate card over here as well. Now, something I will need to highlight in your payment details. So later on, I'm going to cover about the topic on Accra import or purchasing search register, we call it, from Accra directly into CAS 360. This feature will require you to add in a credit card before it enables you to use that feature. So this is where you set up the payment method. And lastly, your events and trainings. So if you want to see the upcoming trainings and events in CAS 360 for Singapore, you can simply go under events and training and click on new registration. And lastly, your contacts. You'll be able to add in your contacts who will have access to my BGL as well. So with going back to the topic of app switcher, so in every of the applications, you will have this app switcher on the top right corner of the page. So if, for example, I accidentally close my CAS 360 and I want to go back to my software, I can simply go to my BGL app switcher and I can choose CAS 360. A very quick tip about this application as well. If you cannot see the CAS 360 on the list, it means either you haven't purchased the product yet or you have not been invited to be a user account or a user in CAS 360. So you'll need to contact your account owner of CAS 360 or the administrator to send you an invite to access to the software. So you'll also be able to do the to go to other applications like your integrations. So this is essential, especially for digital signing. and also your learning channels as well. We have a couple of videos that we put up for learning process for your learning trainings, which covers the core of the software, not just exclusively Singapore features, but also the general core, which applies to all the jurisdictions. And lastly, users. So this is where you'll be able to invite other users or manage your users to access to CAS 360 and My BGL. So again, because we closed our software, I'm just going to go back to my app switcher and click CAS 360. This will bring me back to my software. All right. So on the page 12 of your manual, so these are just very short conventions that you can use in the software. So for example, if you want to be able, instead of using your mouse, you can use the tab key to go to the next field, or the standard with your shortcuts like cut your Control X, copy, which is Control C, or paste, which is Control V to move data among the fields. Right-click on your mouse on any to view menu options as well. And to view multiple pages, you can just hold on to Control left on the links and right-click on the open new tab. So if you have the time, if you're free, you can explore the different shortcut key functions around as well. I'm gonna jump right to Resource Hub. So before that, any questions so far? If there's no questions, I'll continue on with the session. I'm gonna go back to the top right corner of my CAS 360, we call it the Resource Hub. So in this section over here, we're gonna learn how to access the CAS 360 help, how we be able to send feedback to our product team to better improve the products, join the BGL community, which allows you to discuss different topics and different features, log a support ticket using our software, and also accessing to our live chat. The first thing I want to go through is this section over here in your Resource Hub called the Getting Help. So the Get Help in CAS 360 allows you to see all the very useful guide on getting started into the software. So the Get Started will bring you to the core, how to get started into the software. And we've also segregated the guide based on the jurisdiction. So you can see over here, if you want more specific on a Singapore features, you can simply click on Singapore Help to bring you to the support.cas360.com.sg. So you can always access that at any point of time. Do not be afraid, as this will just bring you to this very useful resource link. You can also bookmark this so that you'll be able to access this anytime. I'm just going to share this onto the screen as well into your webinar chat so that everybody can see. Now I'm going to go back to my software. So all of this is very useful when you're getting started in the software. We cover getting started, how to set up your CAS 360 from managing your company to your trust, how to set up your MFA via authentication app, inviting ad users, So we've really put up a lot of effort in adding in so much guides on that so that it will help you with your adoption process, your learning journey with the software. So an example over here that you can find in our Singapore Health Guide is how to set up your MFA. So essentially, when you first started with the software and you get the invitation to welcome to CAS 360 and MyGGL, you are required to set up your MFA, whether using a authentication app or a SMS. So for those of you, I'm just gonna share this particular link as well. So we have a lot of frequently asked questions as well. In case that you have, you need to change your MFA, whether it's because that either your devices got stolen or you changed your telephone number and it's linked to your mobile, you can always access into our support help guide on the topic of MFA. So I'll share this particular useful link as well. So to help you with your setup, if you have yet to set up your MFA in CAS 360. So I'm gonna go back to my software. So that is our help guide, getting help. So this is very, very useful. You can just simply type in all your questions to search for a topic. For example, and it will show you different types of results pertaining to that keyword. So next is your help us improve icon. So you see next over here, we have what we call the feedback. So if you want to share feedback about our products or some features that you wish that we added or put it into the wish list for our future developments, add it into our feedback button. As you so for us as company or particularly on product development side of things, if we get a request from our users specifically on a specific topic and we get so much requests for that, for example, please add in, let's say an example would be the topic on free-form documents, right? We get a lot of requests for that particular due to the feedback that we receive. So this will then be a priority in terms of development. So I would highly recommend you, if there is a specific feature that you wish that you want to integrate into the software, add this feedback as regularly as you can so that we can continue to improve, develop products and features that is highly requested and asked by our users. All right, so next also is join the community. So in the CAS 360, we have what we call the BGL community, which allows you to start a new post, have a general discussion about certain topics, and also if we have any software or product announcement. So you can see over here, these are all our product announcements. So every Thursday of 2 weeks, we run a software update in CAS 360. So as a user, you do not need to do anything for running a software update. It's not like, for example, your Apple, if you are an Apple user, so iPhone user, you need to download the update into your phone and run the update. So what's the beauty about cloud product is that we run the software update for you at the back end, and regularly we make sure that we update you as a user of what we have added in or updated into the software. So for example, we have the ones in November. So what's new? This is what we have added on the update of November from your document templates. Merge fields. This is requested with a couple of our users to be added in, and so on. So that's why it's highly recommended that the more you share feedback to our product, and if we, especially if our product team sees a highly request feature, we will put that, our product team will put that into priority list and see how they can develop it and push it out for all the users like yourself to be able to use it. You'll also be able to see over here release notes. What are the features that had been released out, not only just for the core, which is applies to all the jurisdiction in CAS 360, but also specifically on a particular jurisdiction. So for example, over here, you have the Singapore hub, Singapore update, which is your company change summary. We have added in new fields to display for your passport ID details in your company change summary. So that's that. So I'm just gonna go back to close this. We have quite a number of pages. So do recommend you to join into or sign in, join the community as well and start a discussion. So any questions so far? Right, so before I move on to the topic, also something I want to highlight under your community page, you'll be able to scroll down and see this particular feature called webinar. So I'm going to share this into the webinar chat of our Zoom. So essentially, these are the past webinars that we have ran. So previously, we were running a 1 hour long webinar, which we cover topics like import company from Accra and search registry in CAS 360, or documents and email customizations, using digital signing, and so on. So these are video format that you can always watch and come to replay at your or watch at your own pace. So I highly recommend you to bookmark this page so that you can always come back again if you need to have a refresher on these specific topics like document templates, importing companies from Accra using the search registry, your share transaction and registrable controller, and filing annual returns using CAS 360. So I'm going to share this link into the webinar chat so you can save it as well and bookmark that. All right, so I'm gonna just close this feature over here. All right. So next I want to cover is the topic on your page 14 to 15, which is logging a support ticket. Now in the CAS 360, we've built a function that allows you to be more seamless when it comes to your request for support. Now we have an icon over here in your resource hub called support. And essentially, it will request you what kind of topic that you want to ask for and need a support. So, for example, if let's say annual return, so click on the search, enter, and first, because we are able to have an AI integration in it to recognize what are the articles that recommended based on your search. So the system will first recommend you the relevant articles based on your keywords. But most of the time, when you are facing a particular issue, it's not in your article source. So what you need to do is, what you want to need to do is you have to log or click on what we call the log a support call. So if you need to reach out to our support team and request for assistance, whether it's having some errors in your particular page or you're unable to process something, you can simply click on the support log a support call, and this will bring you to your log a support call page. So automatically, this will tag to the email address, which is your username, your phone number, and also your problem statement. So you can type in your description, an error. Like that in my AR page, for example. And I would always recommend or highly suggest this to all my users, that when you face an error, for example, in your software, or some issues that you feel it's very unusual or shouldn't generate that way, I would highly recommend you to always screenshot that particular error and always attach it into your support call log. This is to help us to understand more the issue that you are facing, and we can also investigate further what the error is all about. Once you have attached your screenshots of that error, simply click send, and this particular log will directly go to the support team. A support consultant will then be assigned to you, and you will also receive a support ticket number. So this will help you to track the support ticket that you have just launched using our support call feature. So that's how to log a support call. So again, remember that you need to type in a topic first, any topic like shares. For example, you just need to type in some keywords so that this will bring you to the search results, and it will enable the button called log a support call. Right, so next I'm going to cover is on your page 16 to 17 of your manual is what we call our live chat support. So you can see over here that we have a particular icon, or whenever you're processing something, any pop-up window that comes up, there always going to be a chat on that. I'm just gonna go back. So essentially this, whenever you see a bubble icon over here, this will enable you to what we call CAS, our live chats, our AI enabled chats. It will recommend you articles depending on which topic that you're asking or which page that you got stuck, whether it's annual return documents or document changes. It automatically recommends you a guide. But for example, if you need help to get in touch to our support live chat personnel, you can simply click on get in touch, and a live chat support personnel will get in touch with you as well. This is how to utilize your help or assistance using the features within CAS 360. So any questions so far before we proceed? All right. All right, so we'll go to the next page on 20, which is your notification system. So in the same location on top right corner, you will see a bell icon over here. So as a user, you will receive all the communication from Accra, Vigil, and other integrated partners through your notification system. Messages can be viewed from your message screen, which is what we covered earlier over here in the sections, and through the notification icon from the top menu. So you will see over here, these are the different types of notifications I'll receive. So an example will be my digital signing. If I'm using a digital signing, I've enabled it, and I got my client to sign by DocuSign or Fuse signed, and the client signed it, I will receive an automatic notification in my bell icon to say that this particular document has been digitally signed by this client. You'll also be able to see unread over here, and you can just mark it as read. Right. So I'm just gonna go, I'll jump right into page 23 of the manual. We'll cover this topic since we're in this icon over here. So on your page 23, 25 onwards, we will cover on the topic of email subscription. So within this notification bell icon, you will see what we call the settings tab. Settings tab allows you to use a function called email subscription. This is to set up an email subscription for you as a user to receive automated daily, weekly, or fortnightly emails for important notification and events that happened in CAS 360, such as your annual return or due upcoming event. If you switch on to subscribe or receive an email reminder from CAS 360 into your email address, which is essentially the same username that you use to access the CAS 360, it will send to that email. And you can identify which notification you want to receive, whether it's annual review due in 30 days, failed emails, rejected lodgements, and so on. So if, for example, I only want to receive, I'll switch off, let's say, regulators invoice in 7 days, comparison debt, I can switch on that, and the rest I want to receive. These are all the list that I'll receive by email. So you can have an option to receive this email by daily, weekly, and fortnightly. So if it's for daily, you have the ability to select which dates that you want to receive this email. Or if you select weekly, you only be able to select one day in that week to receive. You also be able to select the time of the day that you wish to receive that email reminder. For example, I want to only receive it at, let's say, at 10 a.m. so that every 10 a.m. I will receive an email reminder or notifications from CAS 360 pertaining to all these informations. So which companies have annual return due dates, annual returns, and so on. You can also, based on filter entities, whether it's a whole firm, who will receive that, both, or only favorite labeled companies. And click Saved. You can also apply filter which team will receive this notification. So for example, if I want COPSEC team A who will receive or have these settings, you can apply this into this label. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about labels. So this is where you can apply the label for this particular notification. So COPSEC team A will receive a notification email of all this that has been switched toggle on every week, every Wednesday at 10 a.m. If you wish to reset the settings, you can simply reset that. So this is how we set or subscribe for email reminder to be sent from CAS 360 to yourself for upcoming annual returns or due dates and so on. So now I'm just going to go and jump back to page 2021 of your manual. So as I mentioned, this notification is linked to your message screen over here to notify you all the communication between different applications and also what you have sent to your client from CAS 360. So you can just do the differentiation over here. You can see the inbox. These are all the messages between third-party apps, whether it's digital signing platform or Accra. You can see that I have successfully imported this company from Accra into my system. And Outbox, on the other hand, will show to you all the messages that I have sent out to my client. So, for example, over here, instead of downloading my appointment of director, for example, into my computer, I send it directly from CAS 360 to my client. So I can preview the email content as well by simply hovering my mouse and select view email to show to me that this has been sent to Andy, and I've sent out this particular documents for this firm. This is the content of the email, and instead of attached document, I have the digital signing linked on here attached to that email. So you can see the status of the email, and if you have a status that's failed, check the recipient address and resend. Maybe it's an incorrect email address, and you can see which particular email that bounced back or did not send successfully. So again, in this section, you will have a advanced filter. So you'll be able to filter based on today's alerts, monthly, this month's alert, based on the timestamp. And if you have unread alerts, it will show to you the alerts as well. Same goes for your outbox. You can see that I want to know only all the messages or email that I've sent out this particular month. Sent today, sent this week, and all. You'll also be able to filter based on the status of the email, whether it's delivered, email failed. So you can see over here. or deliver in progress if it's still pending delivery. So usually the delivery in progress can be found under your outbox. So unfortunately, right now, we don't have any SMS messages. This is something that hopefully we'll work on rolling out for Singapore. So for now, we have only the inbox and outbox. All right. So this is how we use the notification system and also your message toolbar in CAS 360. So next topic I want to go cover is on your page 26, which is your setting up a registered filing agent. So when you first started CAS 360, before you even start adding in your companies, importing in or purchasing company data, I always highly recommend you to first set up your registered filing agent. This is because that in the event that you are now ready for filing the annual return for the company, when it reaches when a couple of weeks or for the annual return, you need to prepare the annual returns. You are ready to file it with your attached registered filing agent. So this setup can be found under your settings tool. And when you first click on settings, this will bring you to your lodgement and agent settings. To add in your registered filing agent, generally it will be your compass of your practice. So you'll need to Singapore select the filing agent, select the address, and agent and all that. So you can either select save only or save and authenticate same pass. So this is an example of the filing agent. So this is just a dummy account with the dummy RFA that we have used to test with ACRA. So this is an example of that. If you need to edit the information of the registered filing agent, you can simply click on option and click edit. So you have either save and authenticate, or if you accidentally exit out of that page, you can always come back and just click on authorize agent. So I'm not sure whether this particular dummy account is still available, as this is with the test environment with StingPass. So hopefully it still works. So you'll receive a request for permission to authorize this filing agent to access to ACRA using that or the court pass. So you can see over here that under your notifications and alert, you will receive the notifications, the expiry of your access, on which day at one time. Do take note, just like when you are logging in directly to ACRA's API website, you are given 30-minute span to access it. Same goes to CAS 360. So ACRA only allows us a time frame of 30 minutes to access to their database before it kicks out the user and needs to authenticate again. This is important, especially when you are processing your annual return, we're doing your filing agent, and suddenly you are no longer, your time limit has stopped, so you need to reauthorize again. So do take note of that. So any questions so far before we proceed? All right. So something I would like to highlight, because this is very particularly important for registered filing agent that uses their corpus to file for your clients. So I'm just gonna type in search. This is particularly important when you're setting up with our corpus. So essentially, when you are filing your the annual returns or transaction for your clients, you use your corpus as SingPass to file for your clients. All right. Now, with CAS 360, generally what you'll need to add is your corpus. Because the software itself is API, is a third-party vendor integrated with ACRA. It needs to know which firm who filing for this company and which SingPass is used to go through this process. So it's a little bit a long-winded process, and I would say they just needs to track who is using CAS 360, which firm, and which SingPass is accessing to the database. So this because for security reasons. So this section over here need to make sure that to advise your corpus administrator to give you admin rights, particularly on your ACRA API mall, ACRA biz file, and so on. Otherwise, even if you set up your corpus and then you use your SingPass, but it fails or you are not able to click in your firm's, your SMP, your practices corpus information, it's because your SingPass doesn't have admin rights under the corpus settings. All right, so take note on that. So I'm just going to save this particular feature over here. All right. This particular link, I've shared it into the webinar chat. If you have a bit of confusion to how to set it up, let me know and I can go through it again with you personally as well by Zoom link and all that. If you're the person who is filing using their SingPass is not working, even if you already set up the corpus in your CAS 360, mainly the reason is because that SingPass attached to your firm's corpus doesn't have admin rights to the API mall, to this particular digital services. All right, so make sure they're set it up correctly. All right, so that is how we you set up your registered filing agent. Now, this is particularly important as mentioned because when you set up a new company, it will require you to select a registered filing agent throughout the data management or setting up company process. Now, next I'm going to cover is your page 30 of the manual, inviting users. In CAS 360, you'll be able to get the benefits of interconnectivity between managers, employees, directors, and secretaries, and invite users in CAS 360 to navigate through. So in this lesson 1.7, page 30, we're going to learn how to invite other users. And if the invitation has expired, how do we re-invite the user again to access to CAS 360 and also manage your user roles. And we'll go back to our app switcher. So So earlier on, I've showed you what we can find in App Switcher, and which includes your user. So under the users, it will open up a new tab in your browser. So this is particular where you can find the user's information and also set up your MFA. So you can select which one to set up, whether it's authentication app, like your Google Authenticator app, or by SMS. To invite users, which on your page 31 onwards, you can simply go to the left-hand side of the dashboard and select admin and choose invitation. So you can see over here that I have the list of invited users, expired, and canceled. Right. To invite new users, simply click on invite new users if it's not yet on the list. And you can simply type in the email address of the user. Let's say Jen test. And put in my name. So these are mandatory fields. And particularly, this I need to highlight so that you need to make sure that the right users have the right, they are able to access to the portal and to the CAS 360. So again, as mentioned earlier, My BGL is your administrative portal to all the BGL, to manage your BGL products. So not just your CAS 360 software, but any other projects you subscribe with BGL. You can invite the user based on admin users. Admin will have full administrative rights to access the My BGL features, including the billing information or setting up your credit card payment. If you do not want or you do not wish for your users to set up the credit card information, you can simply select user only or normal user. So that's the access for My BGL. And then next is you will need to select their administrative rights to the CAS 360 software itself. So they can be either an accountant, admin, or so on, or view only. So admin will have full admin rights to access to the software so that they can see that who they can select and approve and all sorts. So you can add as many users as you want, and once you're happy with that, you can click invite. And if you have accidentally, for example, added that, you can simply delete and invite user. So you can see over here that this particular user will have access to this product, My BGL administrative portal, and also the product, the software itself. So you can see in your list that I have already re-invited. Now let's say it will expire, this particular invite has already expired and this person no longer able to access that link that you have sent out, right? So you can always come back again to your to the user page, admin, and invitation. And you see an example over here to re-invite. So you can simply click on that particular contact to re-invite them back again to the software. And for example, if you need to cancel your invitation to access to My BGL or to CAS 360, you can simply click on cancel. So this is how we've sent or re-invite the users in CAS 360 and My BGL. So do take note that the link to set up or the invitation link will expire within 5 days. So do make sure that you set the person who's receiving it activated the moment they receive the email. Otherwise, they won't be able to set up. This is due to security reasons. You want to make sure that the invitation is on the correct hands, and therefore they need to activate it as soon as possible. All right. So next will be your page 32 of your manual. So we're gonna go on how do we set up the role settings. So on the same page of your users page, you will see the admin icon and select the role settings. The role settings allows you to select the type of access that they have for a particular user level. So for example, an accountant over here, I've got an accountant role. The accountant's able to do all these actions that are toggle in green, and the ones that toggle off, they're not able to do that work. So let's say this accountant is not able to do add and edit email template or prepare distribution documents or add and edit documents template. So I can also, let's say, disable this user level to edit company registration, registry screen, import, or even documents, for example. So I can edit all this to this settings to select what type of features that they can or cannot access to. Now, other the roles level, you have different types of role. So by default in CAS 360, you have the admin. So in admin, if you try to select or switch off the toggle button, you will see admin role cannot be edited because you need to ensure that the admin, the account owner, or the main administrator will have all the admin rights to the software. You can create different types of roles, whether you want to put it as team A, team B, and so on. To add a new roles or users, you can just simply click on add new user role, and you can see team D, for example. And I can user management, switch off user settings, for example, modifications, and so on, and just simply click save. Once I save this will usually appear in my list of roles under the roles type. So this is how we manage the role settings and adding a new user role in your user features in CAS 360. So again, in this page, you'll be able to see the app switcher. Again, if I want to go back to my software, I can simply go back to CAS 360. I'm just going to close the rest of that. This is to help you familiarize how to switch between different applications as well. So if you want to find out the user roles, so I'm just going to type in. So we have different user functions, permission rights for different settings. So you can find it under our help guide over here. So you can see it has a bit of a big list on what it can and cannot access as well. This includes your My BGL. So things like, for example, if you're normal users, you cannot update your account informations. You can't submit transfer of request, ownership request. You won't be also have the ability to edit the contacts. So I'll share this link in your webinar chat so you have a bit of understanding what is the user, the normal user, and account owner. What's the difference of that? So that's particularly on my BGO, and if you want to find out more on the other type of users, which is your CAS 360 user role setting, it also has a different types of permission rights. All right, so now we have added, we've covered more pretty much like the really basic of setting up your software to get started, inviting your users to access. So now we're ready to add in companies into CAS 360. So on your page 30, we're going to cover on loading companies onto CAS 360. So in this exercise and lesson, we'll learn how to incorporate Singapore company, prepare your supporting documentation for registration, and we'll also cover on the topic of company data imported from Accra into CAS 360 using your search registry feature. So on the page 34, it will be your company registration. So when you're starting off with CAS 360, there are a couple of things that you will encounter. Either you want to add in a new company, a new firm, new company that's just setting up their business, engage you as their service provider, or you it's a company takeover that you have taken over from another service provider and they already have existing information. So for the second option, if you're taking over a new company, essentially what you can do is either add in the company manually and just type in add in manually and it will, and once you've saved that, it will appear in your company selection page. And another option is also adding in using Accra import data, which is helping you to purchase the business registration profile, your BIS file of that company from Accra into your system, which we'll cover in the later part of the lesson. So the option number one, which is when somebody comes to you to set up a business and they need to engage you as a CorpSec service provider who process their company registration, we are able to do that process in CAS 360 as well. To do that, simply go to your main page if you are not in the main page and under company selection screen. In the company selection, you'll see add company, and this add or new company registration. And this will then bring you to a pop-up called company registration that's started to prompt you to select the jurisdiction that you're setting up for a company. Here we'll select Singapore. And based on the Singapore jurisdiction processed, it will open up what are the fields required for a Singapore company registration. Right over here, I have my company name. You have your addresses, officers, shareholders, constitution, and so. So we're gonna do an example today is 24 Gen Company Test Private Limited as our sample companies. And let's say we select the company type as non-exempted. So you can also select the company CAS limited by share and your financial year end date. So let's say I'll do March, for example, for just to do an example. And then financial year period. So just do a basic one. So in CAS 360, you'll also be able to select the primary and secondary SSIC code. So here I will select accounting. So you can add in descriptions. And if you have secondary activity, for example, let's say IT provider, for example, like that. And if you have a other description, you can type in just here. So you can either choose to save and close or go to next. So when you save and close this process, basically it will automatically appear in this tab next to your company selection called company registration, right? So if you need to, let's say, go back to that registration process of the new company, you can simply go to the option tab and click edit. So you can see right over here, fields that has yet to be filled up or no information recorded, you will see that it's in red. So what we want to do is want to make sure that we complete all these items before we process your pre-incorporation documents. So let's say I will select this registered office, and then I'll go to next. So this will bring me to my officers. And I can, let's say, select myself as an officer. I also want to select myself as the main signatory. What does it mean? What the meeting status of signatory means, main signatory is for those other documents except the resolutions, for example, like your company change summary, when there's a company change that happened, this particular director will be the main signatory for that. But for example, resolutions and minutes, which required all the attendees or your officers, all your directors and officers to sign, they still need to sign those resolutions. All right, so don't be confused about this. This is mainly the main signatory for your reports, like your company change summary report, for example. So click save. So right over here, I can add in later on a new officers as well. And then to my shareholders. Let's say I just put myself as well as a new shareholder. So what you've also noticed is that the way that share transaction is built in CAS 364, specifically for Singapore, is based on the requirements with ACRA's filing process, right? This is because this is the request of ACRA so that it will allow you as a user to do your share allotment and transfer lodgement directly from CAS 360 to ACRA's database. So I'm just going to do a simple one. So automatically it'll be certificate number 1, transactions. Just do a simple dummy information. You can select your payables. So I'll do my cash and so on. So you can add a little bit more later as well. So I'm just going to do a basic. And here, if you want to add in an auditor, you can add in auditor as well. Or you can keep that. And then constitution. So based on what you have set up in your general details, which in this case, I've selected limited by share, CAS 360 will recommend you to select this model constitution. Otherwise, if you have your own customized constitution that you wish to upload, you can always upload a external document over here to customize constitution so that it will generate with your pre-incorporation documents. And right over here, you see that all my journey has been completed. I've completed all the informations. And if I go all the way down to finished, it will show to me the summary of the information I have just key in CAS 360. All right. So this is how we process. So now you can either save or close. But now that we have all our informations, we can simply save and prepare. So automatically when you click save and prepare, the respective documents for pre-incorporation will automatically be prepared for you. So you got over here company change summary, your company registration summary. And you've got over here, this is what I was talking about. I will be the main signatory for this particular summary. I don't need all the directors or officers to sign it, so that's fine. And then you have a consent to act as a director. Since we did have yet to appoint any secretary, therefore there's no 145 yet that has been in your document pack. So all the forms required for this particular company registration will be generated. So again, this can be customizable as well in CAS 360, which we'll cover more on next week. And this is the constitution that I have selected, which has already been prepared by CAS 360. But if you do not wish to use that, again, as mentioned earlier, you can always upload your version of constitution. You also have different types of forms over here: declaration of compliance, applications of share if you need your form 49. For example, you need to enable that. So you can switch on and on this, what we call a toggle button, to enable the documents that you wish to export or prepare. So once I'm happy with that, I can download into my computer or send to my client. So today we're going to select download all first. example. So I click download all, and this will then generate my company registration pre-incorporation documents for me. So you can see over here, this is the document part. The consent to act. Your Form 45 earlier, your constitution. Your Form 6, if you need that. And so on. In your Form 49. So now that you've exported out your documents, you're ready to send it out to your clients and process that. So I'm just going to type in 24 Jan. You can see over here. So you'll see the status awaiting registration. It means that they have yet to been processed, sign the documents. And over here, you can process the post-incorporation document as well. Now, to process the post-incorporation document, because we follow a standard practice abide to ACRA, that we need to make sure that they are already a registered company first before you can prepare post-incorporation documents. So for example, over here, I will say I'll put in the UN number now that it's company registered. Let's say it's 2024. Incorporated today, for example, and if you have all the signed documents, client, you can just drag and drop and click proceed. This will then enable, you can see that the option is no longer available for you, you can no longer edit, and the post-incorporation documents is now ready for you to prepare. So you have your share certificate, your extraordinary minutes and resolutions. So again, this can be customized as well. Your first director minutes and resolutions. So again, this also is customizable. So you also notice that one of the resolutions, opening a bank account, is missing. It's not in the document production. So we're going to cover that a little bit later in another lesson or level 1, which is adding the bank account. Now, sometimes you want to be able to prepare the post-incorporation documents even before they get the UN number. So you can either simply add in a dummy number, and the tip and trick over here is that instead of using the dummy number, because once you have marked that company as registered, so see over here, it's already marked as registered, automatically this company will be added into your company selection. So if I type in, for example, 24 Jan, it is now in my list on company, my company selection, and I can now see all the information. So this is usually a very commonly asked question to me. What if I want to edit the UN number of the company? Since I prepare the post incorporations with a dummy. So what you can simply do is change in the general details. So 2024. For example, and click save. So once you click saved, you can always come back again to your company selection, your company registration. So I'll look for 24th Gen company, and I can process the documents with the correct UAN number. So this is how we manually edit. So what about companies that I haven't changed or marked as a registered? For example, they're still awaiting. Right? So I'm just going to again. So what happens to companies that's awaiting, for example? All right. So which means that they haven't got their UN number yet. They haven't marked off as registered, so they don't exist in ACRA's database. All right. So they will just remain in this list. The benefit in CAS 360 is that you can prepare the pre-incorporation documents for them, even if the client is still not a confirmed client. All right. So an example would be ABC YYY company. If I were to type ABC YYY company, for example, you'll see that it's not in my global search list. This is because that this company is not this particular company is not a confirmed company. It hasn't had any registration number, and yet it's not a live company. Therefore, it will not take up your license slots in 360. So the benefit in CAS 360 software that you can prepare as many pre-incorporation documents for somebody who wants to set up a company as you want. Just make sure that you don't mark them off as registered yet, so that they don't take up your license slot in your company selections. So this is just a tip and trick as well to maximize or really be able to utilize the software. So next, I want to go through the process. So any questions so far before we proceed with the next topic? All right. Okay, so if there's no questions, so just highlights to you that the whole topic, the more if you want to find out more specifically on this topic in company registration in your manual, it's going to show to you over here. It has a little bit more descriptions, a little bit longer description as well. So always refer back to the manual if you are unclear about certain descriptions. And I would highly recommend you to practice the exercise the same way that we did earlier on with doing a company registration. All right, so next will be your page 47, importing company data from app. So another option we mentioned earlier, when you want to onboard a new client, is usually when this particular new client has an existing company already registered in ACRA's database, and you want to add them into your company selection. So one of the option is, again, adding select add company and manually add in the information. Another option, which will be much more seamless and faster, will be importing a company data from ACRA. So under your company selections, you have an option over here at company and called search and import from ACRA registers. So if this company is ready to onboard with you, you have already signed a onboarding agreement form, and you want to just quickly populate their information or purchase their information from ACRA into CAS 360, you can simply switch on the toggle button, and this will bring you to ACRA Companies Import. So as mentioned that importing company data from ACRA into CAS 360 will be additional service because it's ACRA. Usually they will charge for any purchases of data from their system for your use. So this also bring you to this click here to learn more about purchasing company. It will bring you to the guide on how to import companies. So in this section over here, it will guide you through on the requirements to pay to set up your payment methods in CAS 360. If no payment method has been set up for using the ACRA imports, you will notice that you won't be able to purchase unless you set up the payment method into your MyBGL. So this will bring you to their MyBGL payment details to set up. So this is how, so because I don't have any credit card to add in, I don't want to be charged. So I'm going to skip that part. All right. Now, just going to jump back to my CAS 360. So that's one option on automatically importing it, purchasing CAS 360, rather the company data or company registration details of the company from ACRA into the CAS 360. So you don't have to type in the information. Another option is instead of using add company, you can also go to what we call search registry. The process is similar as well. You can simply click on search registers, select the jurisdiction, and again, you'll need to add in your payment method first. So if you have no payment method that have been set up, CAS 360 will not allow you to process an ACRA import. All right, so what happens when you've already set up the payment method? So I'm just gonna show to you this process on how it looks like. So once you've added in, this will bring you to search by, whether search by UEN or search by company name. So most of the time, based on our feedback, a lot of our users prefer to use UEN. So you can type in the UEN and automatically the system will go through the data in ACRA to see if this company exists in their database. Once you have typed it in, click confirm and select extract. You can have as multiple companies to extract as well. So you don't have to go through this process one by one. You can do this multiple company extract in CAS 360. This will then also consolidate how many that you have to confirm the purchase as well. So this is an example of a company that has already been purchased from ACRA into your CAS 360. So you have now an investment, BGL corporate solution. It will show to you the UEN number, date searched, and imported as well. Now, a few things that I will need also to, before I cover these particular features, what are the information that can be downloaded in CAS 360? So you have the company details, company key dates, entity, name registration, registered office address, officers' details, auditors, shared, issued capital, business activity, and company charges. Now, a few things also need to highlight on this because the price of purchasing is equivalent to purchasing a business profile from Accra. So we will only be able to provide you a business profile equivalent of data. That means that you won't be able to extract out the historical transaction of your officers and your shareholders, because means that you're already requesting to purchase the full the registers of from Accra, which Accra charges a little different. So hopefully we will have this particular features added into CAS 360 Singapore, provided that Accra provides us integration in that to tap onto the database. So for now, what we can only provide is your BIS file equivalent of the data. If you need to add in the historical information, the only way is either you buy the business profile directly from the search registry, or rather the registers from Accra itself, all the historical registers, and you have to key or add it into the system directly. So I'm going to just share this particular link. This is very helpful guide as well, as it will also share to you re-importing, the topic on re-importing. So I'm just gonna go back into as well. So when you've searched or purchased a company, it will show to you again your information. And on the next month, let's see, on February, what will happen is that all the companies that you've purchased on the month of January will automatically be moved to what we call the historical searches tab. So we have two different types of scenarios in your option as well. Download extras allows you to download a report format of the company's registration. And import, on the other hand, is to import this particular company into your company selection list. So I'll give you an example. How do we know if this company is in the list of it's in your company selection, right? So if I were to type in corporate solutions Ltd, you won't be able to find it. It means that there's no record of that company in my company selection. But how come I have it here? It's because I purchased it first into my search registry before importing, right? So let's assume that we've purchased this company today. And this company is now my client, so I'm happy to add them into my list. So what I'll simply do is I'll click on options and import. And automatically you will see you have a notification over here that says BGL Corporate Solutions imported successfully. So that if I were to go and type it in my global search, for example, just need to refresh again. you'll see that this company with a UN number over here is now in my company selection. So I can open up the profile and view the company and do my necessary edits. You'll also be able to find it if you type it here in your company selection mini search bar. You see the company is already in my company selection list. So this is a tip and trick to know how to view if the company already takes up the slot. And also if, for example, you simply want to purchase the business profile of the company, but not yet import them as a company or your client. All right, so before we proceed, so any questions on? Right, so if you're facing this issue, please send it through my email or to your support if you're still facing. So I'm just gonna type in my email address as well later on. So any more questions? All right, if there's no questions, I will proceed as well. So we'll proceed to the next topic, which is all in your page 52 of your manual. So now that we have the company added into our company selection, it's now a live company. So what I want to do is organize who will be handling that particular company. So that's 24 Jan. And over here, so this is my information. So now that I can, it's already my client, so I can open up profile. You can see this is what we've just set up during this whole company registration process. And we can start adding in more informations as well. So as you can see over here, I don't have any registered filing agent selected. So this is the ones that I have already set up in my settings. So I can select my registered filing, ready for my annual return filing if that day comes for this company. You can also add in your company dates, your incorporation, your annual return. So your AGM dates will be calculated based on your financial year end as well. If you need to change the financial year end, for example, I want to change, it will automatically calculate your annual return dates and your next AGM. So here you'll be able to change your company status if there is a requirement you to update, and click save. So I'll cover a little bit more of that. So we'll go back to the company selection and to the main dashboard of this company. So right over here, what we want to do is we want to be able to add in the label. So what does label means? Labels are used in CAS 360 to group up your companies together for quick selection and reporting purposes. The benefit of this is so that you'll be able to quickly filter your companies, allocate them to specific group companies, or for example, specific teams, and grouping your custom document templates. To select or add in the label for that particular new company, you can simply click Add Label, and I can select to which team. So either CorpSec Team A, and I can also add into multiple labels. Right? So going back to, so I'm just going to scroll this down. All right. So you'll see that the 24 Jan will have that label added in. Now, to edit or manage your labels, you can find it under your advanced filters and scroll all the way down under the labels. So you'll be able to see this tab called Manage Labels. And in the Manage Label, this is how you see which labels, which companies are attached to respective labels. So for example, Jennifer P over here has 47 companies attached to this label. So I can either undo that. Let's say I want to remove some of the companies assigned to that particular contact. So I will now only have 43. And if you can see under my CorpSec Team A, it will show to me which are the companies on the CorpSec A. So it includes our 24 Jamboree company, test company. So to edit the label, you can simply click on Edit the Label Name and select the label name. So this is a good exercise if, for example, this particular label or this particular account manager or consultant has left the company and you have a new person taking over this profile accounts, the portfolios, you can simply select the edit label. Let's say David already left the company, so I need to move all these accounts and profiles to the new stuff, which is, let's say, Jess. So that you will see that all the companies under Jess are from David has now been moved to Just. It's simply renaming the company the label. All right. So in the label as well, instead of having to see all the companies that your company or your firm manages, you can simply select which firm, which label that you want to use. So for example, I want to select Jess, and you can see over here, these are the companies that is tagged to Jess. And if I want to be able to view this every time I log into CAS 360, I can simply click on the star icon so that every time I log into my software, I will only see, or Jess will only see, the list of companies tagged to her label. So this is how we managed your labels in CAS. So another thing is that if, for example, you need to add in a new label, you can always add the new labels right over here. So any questions so far about the labels? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next, which is page 54 of your menu. So on the page 54, We'll cover more quickly on the topic on company notes. So company notes allows you to add in additional information that doesn't have a data field for you to key in the information into your company's profile, right? So if you go to your company selection screen, you will notice that in your column of notes, there's a column over here that says notes over here, and you'll be able to see a plus icon. This will allow you to add the notes that you wish to attach for that company. So let's say we'll use the same company 24 Jan. I don't have any notes, and I can add in, please, main point of contact, let's say, and then you can add in all the other informations. Click add in note, and you can add as many notes as you want as well. It will show to you when was the last time modified, and all these notes will be displayed in your company reports under your reports tool. To view if the company or the company that you wish to work on has a note attached, you will see that the icon will change into a sticky pad to show to you how many notes it's attached to the particular firm. This is how we add a company notes for your company. So next we're gonna go through will be your page 56 company addresses. Here we're gonna learn how to add and edit company addresses and prepare the relevant forms. We're also gonna learn how to record your location of registered kept, functions on the contacts and addresses, and how we go through the add and edit process in your global contacts and addresses. So again, we're going to use the same company. So I'm going to use my search engine over here and click 24 Gen company. So in my company details, again, so these are all my information. The exercise we're going to learn in this is to do a registered office address change. So in the tab system, in the profile of the company, you will see addresses tab. This will show to you and display your registered office address for the company. To change or update the registered office address, the company, simply click on New Address and select a registered office address. So let's say I want an address that's already in my records. So in this drop-down option over here, these are addresses that has already been saved in your contacts and addresses. If you can't find the address, for example, let's say Kalang somewhere, you can't find that address, you can simply add the address on the spot. Let's say, example, over here, I've selected this address, and obviously what you've noticed is that our address is using the Google address to be able to have an accurate address format. So automatically, depending on which I have, let's say I have in Kalang, I'll just use this. It will pull out to you the block number, the street name. You just need to type in the address, the building estate as well. Now, the Google address is your option for you to use. You can simply add in the address. For example, I don't want to use the Google address. I want to type in the way I want to type in. What you can simply do is, let's say I want Kalang, right? Instead of selecting the recommended address, you can simply click on any parts of this surface. You can just click on there, and this would allow you to type in something like and you put in the unit number, the postal, you can type in the postal code and click save. All right, so this is how you add in a new address on the spot if you can't find the address. So what will happen that every time you want to use this address, you no longer have to type in it. It will suggest the address for you. So if, for example, 34, you can see over here, I can find my address that I've just created. I can just select that. Now in the registered office address, you can add in your effective date, and you can also apply the address change to multiple addresses, whether it's a multiple business address or postal address, meeting or location of the registers. So let's assume that I want my location of, I'm just going to apply the location of registers over here. So once I've click save, automatically this address will not only be your registered office address, but this address will be applied to all the addresses that you have selected and enabled, including your registers. Because we're doing a change of registered office address, automatically the system will switch on the print toggle and prepare your forms for you. So by clicking in prepare forms, this will be able to allow you to prepare the documents required for changing a registered address for the firm. You can see over here, this is my sample document. This is also a customized document as well. You have your company change summary. So once I click on download all, so what happens with all these documents? So I'm going to explain to you a little bit later on any documents that you send out to CAS 360 or download out or export out from the system. You'll be able to save it under the documents tab of that company. So we'll cover this a little bit later topic. So we'll go back to your addresses. So you now have all the list 1, 2, 3, 4 Kalang addressed in your as a registered office address. So you'll also be able to see the historical addresses of registered address for this particular company. So this is how we process a change of registered office address. So next is we want to learn how to put the location of registers kept. Let's assume that my registers is not kept in 1, 2, 3, 4 Kalang address. So again, we'll go to the address tab of the company and select new address. So this time around, instead of selecting registered office address, I want to simply edit the location of my registers kept. So over here, I want to choose a new address, let's say Orchard, for example. I'm just gonna select an existing address. And I can select which register that I want to apply the change of address. So let's say I wish to select change the registrable controller and nominate a director's address. So this is particularly important, especially when you are processing the annual returns, because you want to make sure that you have selected the correct address. Once you click Saved, you notice that this particular address change has now been applied to the selected register. So for this case, your registrable controller registers and nominee directors register is kept in 2 Orchard term. And again, you'll also be able to see the historical information address of the registers. All right, so this is how we processed location of registers under your address tab in CAS 360. Next will be your page 63, contacts and addresses. When you're first starting with the software, you want to be able to manage your contacts addresses. So adding contacts and addresses allows you to manage the contacts to assigned to multiple firms, multiple companies. So this is, you can add unlimited amount of contacts and addresses here as well. And in the global contacts, you'll be able to see and create different types of contacts, whether it's an individual, company, joint member, or other entity. So if you, for example, let's select an individual, this allows you to create a contacts on the spot. The fields for an individual also be particularly setting up for a person, whereas if you select company, so instead of your birth details, it will be incorporation. All right. So you'll also be able to add in your addresses and select the country type. Before I proceed, any questions so far? All right, so I'm just gonna go back to my global contacts. So in your global contacts, you're able to filter based on the type of contact, whether it's a individual, companies, a joint member, or others. Now, in your contact filter, you also have the ability to find matches. So there are a few times that your contact, you might have added in similar contact in your database, in your contacts and addresses, and you're unsure whether it's it's the same person or not. So you can filter based on find matches, match by name or addresses, or by name only. So if I were to select, let's say, by name, I can see over here that I have multiple contacts based on name only, but the addresses are different. So it's up to you if you want them to combine together or not. Normally, we don't, if the information's like the addresses like that are different, you don't usually combine it because either this particular may be the same person, but they're using a different identification to register the company, for example. Now, if let's say you want to be able to see contacts to have the exact same name and addresses, you can simply click match by name or address and select which one to keep. So once you keep this, it will delete the other contacts that you have created. Same goes to your addresses as well. If you have a multiple addresses, you'll be able to see which address that are duplicate. And you can see in this section over here, the text in blue, you'll be able to see if this particular address is attached to multiple companies. You can simply click on download full usage report. And it will show to you which entity name uses or which entity or person uses this particular address. So I have over here these companies, and I also have Jen using this address as well. So this is where we view our mobile contacts. Now, how do we edit our existing contacts? Sometimes our the contacts, they either change their the addresses, they moved a new house, or they change their passport details. You can simply click the contact and this will allow you to open up the profile. So as you can see over here, I only have this information. So if I want to add more additional information, I can simply click in Information tab. Another option for you to open and edit the contact. Let's I'm just going to look for Jennifer and click in Edit. You can always use Option tab, click Edit, and this will bring me to the contacts profile. So you can see over here, I have all the information of Jen. And if I need to change the information, I can simply click on the text in blue. So just a very quick, also like a trick in CAS 360, any text that is highlighted as blue, it can be edited. So for example, this over here, this is the edit number, the audit number. If you need to edit it, you can simply click on the text in blue. So this is how we update an existing contact. If you need a couple of changes or you made a mistake on adding in the information, in your global context. Any questions so far? All right, if there's no question, we'll proceed to page 67 of your menu. All right, so on page 67, we're going to learn one of the common company changes, which is the office holder changes, and also learning how to add a bank account, which is essentially helpful when you're generating a company post incorporation documents in CAS 360. So in this exercise, we're going to use the same company to do a officer's change, which for this case, we're going to appoint a new officer and also do a resignation. So again, I'm going to select the same company that we've just set up. And in the profile, I'll select Officers tab. And I'm going to appoint a new officers. For example, I'm going to select Roger Lum. Right here. As my director. And when you do a company changes, automatically the system will recognize that you have made a company change. And the prepare forms will then enabled into your system. So when I click on prepare forms, I have over here what we call the document production page. So in the document production, it will show to me the summary of the company change that I'm doing currently, which is at the moment, I'm doing officer's change. And automatically, it will pull out all the documents required to prepare for an appointment of a director. So you have over here your consent to act. You also had your consent to act as a director, 145. Automatically, all the fields will be filled up for you. You also have your director minutes and resolutions. So again, this is a customized, this is a sample of my customized text. You can see over here. If I want to change my template for that director minutes and resolutions, I could just simply change. So I'm just going to use my standard master template. So what the system actually provides by default. So usually the system will default, the default setting, a default template will look like this. So you can see the resolution. We have Amy and Jennifer required to sign this resolution as well. Now I'm just going to close this. Let's say I don't want to print this first, and I want to appoint another officer. So let's say I'm just going to appoint myself as secretary and click save. So you can see over here that my prepare forms is now, it shows two changes that happen for the company. So let's click on Prepare Forms. On the left-hand side of my document production page, it shows to me the different company changes that happened for them, for 24 January company. So I have appointment director, Amy, and appointment of secretary, Jennifer. So not only that it will pull out documents for appointment of director, but it will now pull out all the documents and text for a appointment of secretary. So you can see in the resolution, it will show to you both appointments of these new officers. So this is how we can do a combined minutes and resolutions if you have multiple changes that happen for this company. So now, not only that we have a register for register of directors, but we also generated a register of secretaries as well. And because we need the form for the appointment of secretaries, so CAS 360 pulls out and prepare for you the form 45B for appointment of secretary. So once you have done that, you can simply either send or download both. So which in this case, we're gonna do just simply download the document first. So I got over here the document packed that I have prepared or generated out of CAS 360 for appointment of officer and appointment of secretary. This is how we do we prepare a documents for an officer's changes. Now, the next exercise that I want to go through will be on your page 72 of your manual is how do we design an officer and prepare the documents. So right over here, let's assume that I want to resign Amy, for example, as my director. So I can simply go to Amy's profile and simply go to the status and select as resigned. Automatically, the meeting, it will show to you non-attendee. If you need this person to attend the meeting, you can always select whether to attend or not. So I'm just gonna keep it as it is. This will be my cease date. And once I click on option, it will automatically, the filter, first you will notice the filter, it will show as all. So filter by all means, it will show to you even your removed or resigned officers, right? Secondly, you will see that the print toggle for resignation of Amy has been switched on. So all the necessary documents required for resignation of Amy will be produced as well, including the resignation letter. So again, this can be customizable as well in your documents template settings. So I'm just going to download this document again. And again, as mentioned, any documents that extracted out from or downloaded out from CAS 360 or sent to the client, automatically it will be saved under your Documents tab over here. So if I were to filter my current officers, I can simply select current, and it will show to me now that my current officers is just Jennifer as a director and secretary. Now in the CAS 360 as well, you're able to reprint the documents as well. So whenever you go to the profile of the company, there will be this particular column called print. So you can always switch it on and off if you require to reprint the documents again. So for example, if I were to go to all and I'm lost, or I want to simply reprint the document again, I can simply switch on the print toggle to reprint the company changes documents, which for this case, resignation of Amy as a director. So the next exercise is on your page 76 of your manual, just adding a bank account in your company. So again, we'll go back to your company selection. So just going to do the same exercise, and we'll work on the same company. So either I can scroll the way down to search for my company, use my search tool or my global search tool, then look for Jen. Click on it to bring me directly into the profile. And this time we'll want to add the bank account details for 24 Gen company. To do so, we'll simply go in to your add relationships. And over here, you'll see, because it's empty, we don't have any information added in, so we can simply click add relationship. Under add relationship, you have the ability to add in not only your bank account, but also your auditors, liquidator, local agents, registrations, and public officer, and so on. So for this exercise, we're going to add in just simply the bank account of for this company. Let's say I've already have an account, so I've already recorded it into my contacts list. And I'll select my currency. And you can just type in your account number. If you have any additional information, so you can always add in here as well and select your signatory. So I'm just going to select myself as my signatory, and you can have multiple signatory as well. So once you've saved that in the relationship tab of the company, let's just go back again to the main page. And we'll go back to the company registration of 24 Gen. Since I've already added in my bank account information under the profile, in my post-incorporation documents, it will now automatically prepare your bank account opening resolutions. So this is how we add in your bank account if you wish to prepare the bank account, opening of bank account resolutions for a newly set up company. So any questions so far before we can proceed? All right, again, kindly put in all your Q&A questions on the Q&A box, so they'll be able to answer as well. So for the bank, do you need to key in? So I have a question for the bank. Do you key into the companies or other entities? So in the context list. So for the bank, you can simply select entities. So if we go over in this section over here, you can simply select as company. So you type in company name, address, incorporation, if you wish to add on, and so on. Right. So next exercise will be on your page 79. So now we've learned how to do a change for an officers and how to prepare the documents. We're now going to learn how to process a member's change in CAS 360. So again, we're going back to the main dashboards and company selection. For this exercise, we'll learn how to do a allotment of shares, do a transfer of shares. We're also going to process how to do a automated document deadline reminders, which is one of the very interesting features in CAS 360 as well. Set up your nominee shareholders and document review, and how do we set up your register of registrable controllers. Now again, in my company selections, so I'm just going to scroll all the way, select the same company, and I will select the tab shareholders to process my new allotment of shares. So the first exercise we're going to learn is doing a allotment of shares. So earlier on, because when we set up the company during the company registration process, we already have this existing shareholders. So what we want to do is allot allotted shares for a new shareholder. But before that, in your dashboard, you will see that you have a add transactions, and you can select the different types of transaction available for you in CAS. So in this exercise, first we're going to select allotment first and set up your allottee. For this case, I'm going to, let's say, select Roger as my shareholder. So all his information has been populated as well. So are the shares held on behalf of another person, organization, trust? So I'm going just to keep it as no. And I will select ordinary shares. So automatically, the share certificate will be generated based on sequential order. So in this case, it's going to generate a certificate number 2 for the second share transaction. So you can see over here that your dashboard has now been updated. So on the left-hand side, you'll be able to see the graph chart of how many people holds ordinary shares, and which also includes your percentage of ordinary shares hold into this company. You can also filter based on the different share type, but for this case, we only have ordinary shares. So I'm going to do another allotments of shares. So I'm just going to select myself, I'll do, let's say, 50. Certificate number 3. And for this case, the share class, instead of ordinary, I'll select preference shares. So you can see over here that we have now ordinary shares and preference shares as well. So not only that, our graph chart has now been updated, so you can see that how many in the graph, how many share you have for a preference shares, and also how many do you have for ordinary shares. So on this section right here, you can now select and filter based on ordinary shares or preference shares. So you can see over here that we have 2 transact allotments of shares, the process in CAS 360 for 24 Gen company. So I'm just going to simply click prepare forms. So again, my summary of the action will be on the left. And you can see over here, a share certificate as well will be processed. So you have your share certificate number 2 for Roger and share certificate number 3 for Jennifer. You also have your allotment journal, director minutes and resolutions, and your register of members. So right over here, Jennifer has ordinary shares and preference shares. And you have Roger, the holds ordinary shares. So again, to process this document, I can simply click on download all. And so I have my full document packed. So we've just processed a full document pack, which is combined. And if you wish not to combine them, again, you can simply switch, do it one by one if you want them separate as well. This is how we do a process a allotment of shares in CAS 360. So next transaction that on this exercise for members changes is we're going to learn how to do a transfer of shares, and along the way set up a automated document deadline reminder. So again, in the same shareholders tab, we're going to select add transactions and select share transfers. So here in this section, I'm going to select which member I want to share the transfer from. And I'll select a new shareholder. So for this case, I'm going to transfer 50 shares, for example, for Amy, let's say 1,000 as well. And if the person doesn't have a issued share capital, You can simply make sure that put it as 0, otherwise you won't be able to save. If you put it as empty, you won't be able to save this. So I'm just going to put it as 0 first. Automatically, it will show a balance certificate for you. So what does that mean? So balance certificate, it will show you a balance certificate for Jennifer, the remaining balance of the shares, the ordinary shares, and the transferee, the new shareholder, Amy, will get the new transferred shares. So you have an option whether you want to process a balance or not. So let's say if you do not wish to process a balance certificate, automatically the certificate number 4 will be allocated to Amy. So I'm just going to show to you an example if I were to keep it as it is, balance certificate, and click save. And you can see over here, prepare forms has been enabled. And when you click on to previous share transfers, the balance certificate will be allocated to Jennifer, and the new shareholder, Amy, will receive the certificate number 5. If, for example, let's just close here, and I want to edit the transaction, for example, again, the option tab allows you to edit your transaction, whether it's a share transactions or officer transactions, and simply click on edit to edit the transaction. So I've got over here, if I were to select my certificate type to none, what will happen is that when I click on to prepare the documents and preview my share certificate, it will no longer have a balance certificate, and automatically Amy will receive the certificate number 4. The document pack for share transfer changes will also include your share transfer form. Again, this text can be customizable under your document templates tab in CAS 360. Once I'm happy with that, again, I'll download all the documents to send to my client. So I got over here my register of members, my company change summary, my transfer journal, my share transfer form, and all this document is again saved under your document tab. Right. Sorry, you're in a many. Just gonna go back again to process that. So how do we, in the whole transactions in CAS 360, whether it's an officer or shareholders or addresses, when you prepare a document under your document production page, you will notice that in your download all or send all, you have an arrow up next to the button. This arrow up allows you to prepare the documents and at the same time set up what we call a automatic document reminders. So for example, let's say I choose to set up, download all the documents and set up a document deadline reminder to remind my clients of this transaction. It needs to be signed. So automatically, so this is the document I have just downloaded into my computer. And automatically in CAS 360, it will open up a feature called Add Automated Document Reminders. In the document reminders, it allows users to add up to 6 reminders to your clients. So for example, I want to remind my client about this document today. We're just going to do a PM and we'll select, let's say, at 4 and click save. But I can also attach in a template as well. So I'll just use a default. I'll do 5 instead. So just very quickly over here, you can select an email template that you want to choose. So I've done this email reminder templates in my email templates. So you can customize the text that you want to be sent out to your client when they receive the email reminder. All right, just gonna go back. So by 5 p.m. onwards, I should be receiving an email to remind me that I need to sign this document's changes. I'm just going to show you how it will look like. So this is an example of how the document will look like. So let's assume I am the client who is receiving the message. And right over here, this is my customized email template, which I'll cover a little bit more on the next Wednesday for CAS 360 level 2. And here it comes with the attached document. So I've just sent the client a document deadline reminder of the share transfer that has happened for this company. So you can have multiple reminders as you want. So as mentioned, you can have up to 6 reminders to be sent out to client for their attention. So this is how we set up a document deadline reminder in CAS 360. So before we continue on, any questions so far? All right, if there's no questions, I'll proceed into your registered role controls. So this is a very commonly asked topic as well. So before that, we'll go to nominee shareholders first and document review, and then we're going to go through the registrable controllers. All right. So we have a question. All right. So again, customizing the documents will be covered next week at CAS 360 Level 2 on the 30th of January. So if you haven't registered, please feel free to register it as well. So I'm not going to cover it at this session as we do have bigger topics, quite a number of topics to cover. The fundamentals to make sure that we practice on generating the documents. All right. So on your page 94, we'll be learning how to process and to set up your nominee shareholders and prepare the necessary supporting documents. So again, we'll use the same company that we have. And to prepare the nominee shareholder, this can be found under your shareholders tab. So you can see over here on the top, next to your add transaction dividends, you have your registrable controllers. And next to that will be your nominee shareholders. So for the prerequisite information for nominee shareholders, you can have a read through in your page 94 before setting up the nominee shareholder. To process the documents, simply click in for nominee shareholders. Click nominee shareholders. So first, we're going to add in the information. So I'll just select Amy as my nominee shareholders. And save and prepare. This will then automatically help me to generate the register of nominee shareholders. Again, I can simply click on download to process this document, or click save if I wish to process it later on. If I wish to process the nominee shareholder at a later stage, for example, I can simply go back again to your shareholders tab, nominee shareholders, and click print nominee shareholder documents. All right. Any questions so far for this particular exercise? All right. So next on your page 98, we're going to go through setting up your registrable controllers and also your document review. In this exercise, we're going to learn how to generate the notice to confirm the registrable controller, setting up the information, appointing a registrable controller and adding it into the system, and also setting up your send documents for review managers. So again, in the same company profile, we'll select shareholders tab. And this time we'll select registrable controller. So to enable for you to add in your registrable controller and set it up, you'll need to make sure that this particular tab over here has been toggled. So if you notice earlier on, it allows you to only print the documents. However, it doesn't allow you to set up and add in the information of your registrable controller. So to do so, always ensure to switch on the toggle button if this company requires to maintain a registrable controller register. You can simply switch on the toggle button. And this will enable you to now add in the registrable controllers. So I'm just gonna simply add in the same company, the same person. Let's say Jenny Tan. Appointment date, date of entry, and if you have any additional notes, you can add it in there as well. And save and prepare. So right over here, automatically, CAS 360 will produce the documents for you in a document production page and print out your register of registrable controllers and also your confirmation letter. I'm just going to close this. Now, you've noticed early as well during the setup process, there's no notice that has been attached to that registrable controller. To process the notice for that registrable controller, simply go to registrable controller button and select print registrable controller documents. This will then notify you whether to generate a notice to send to the registrable controllers. And you click yes, this will enable you to select the type of notice that you need to send for the registrable controller. So I'm just going to simply fill up this information. Right. And you can now see that not only that it enables or generate out your register or registrable controller, your confirmation letter, but it also generates out your notice that you have selected for that registrable controller. So before I want to generate and send it out to my clients, sometimes you want our documents to be reviewed to either our managers or directors or like a team member, team leaders who will need to review before sending out to clients. So if you can see in your document production, you have this tab called over here called Flag Documents to be Reviewed. This feature is very useful, especially when you have bigger teams and you need somebody to review the documents before officially sending them out to your client. To enable this feature, simply switch on the double button and type into the reviewer's email. So I'm just going to type in my email first, just so I can view it. And I can add an additional note to my review. Let's say, please review the notice selected for Jenny Tan, for example. So this note will then appear in my reviewers page. So because this feature allows you that you need to send this, not a download feature, but rather a send feature. So what we'll do is we'll select send. So automatically, so this is how a content will look like. when you try to send an email from CAS 360 with the documents to your client. So you can see over here, I have the email address, I have the body, so I can add in other information as well. I'll just highlight that and say so that you can view. And because my digital signing has been enabled, I didn't switch it off. So instead of attached document, it will be a digital signing link sent to my client. Now, before this document gets sent out to the client, it needs to be sent to my team leader, to my reviewers. So I click on press the send. And let's assume I am in my dashboard of the review. So let's say I am the manager. So as a manager, I will receive a notification on documents to notify me that I need to review a document sent by one of my team members. So you can see over here, review the document. This is the trace number. And select review the documents. So if I wish to approve the documents, I can simply approve the document and automatically it will bring up the preview email to be sent out by the reviewer to the client. So let's say if I am the reviewer, I need to edit in some contents in my email, I can simply do that. And this will then automatically get sent to the client's email. Now, what happens if the document has been rejected, for example, right? Automatically, the team member who prepared those documents will receive a notification that the document has failed. So let's say I am going back to the team member, the general user's dashboard. So as the main user or the preparer of the document, I will receive a notification that the document I have prepared has been approved by my manager. So currently right now I'm using myself for all the characters. So let's say this is the manager who approved my documents and now be accepted and sent out to the client. So this will then automatically, the document will automatically get sent out as well to your global documents. So this is just one of the really useful tips or tool if you need your documents to be reviewed by your managers or the team leaders before it gets sent out to your clients. Right, so before we proceed to the next topic, any questions so far? Right, if there's no questions, I want you all to go on the page 104 of your manual. So we're just going to go through with you how do we generate registrable controller listing report. So in Accra, we are able to upload the CSV or Excel file of all the registrable controller in bulk. And we can generate that same particular file in CAS 360 as well. To do that, simply go to your navigation toolbar, select reports. And under company report, you'll be able to find registrable controller listing report. Then in your registrable controller listing reports, you can see over here, we have different types of filters. You can filter based on annual return dates, company name, incorporation date, and so on. You can also select whether a strike of companies to be included, all agents, or just under a specific agent. You can also filter based on the start date or end date of annual returns. And most importantly, you can filter and switch on the toggle button based on the ACRA version. Once you have set up the report filters accordingly, you're now ready to export the Excel file. So right over here, these are all the list of your registrable controller based on the filter that you have selected. And you can simply use this Excel file to upload it directly to ACRA for bulk upload of registrable controllers. Again, registrable controller can be found under your reports, registrable controller listing. Any questions so far before I proceed to the exercise page 107, company name changes? Right. So in your page 107, we're going to cover the second last topic will be your company name changes. In this topic, we'll learn how to process a company name change in CAS 360 and prepare the necessary supporting documents for this company name change. Again, we'll go back to the main page and we'll select the same company that we've used in this exercise, which is 24th Gen company. So under your name registrations, you'll be able to see the effective date of your company's name and also the historical names. So if you have added in your previous company names, you can simply add it in on the spots. Otherwise, if you don't have any, you won't be able to see any. So this is currently your company name for this company. So what we want to do is we want to change the company into something else. To simply change the name, click on the add name, select change company name, and you can type in the proposed entity name that you wish to change. So let's say I want to change 24th January 1st instead. So if principal approved obtained from other authorities switched on, you can simply select referrer authority to process this company change, name change. Simply click on save, or you can go straight to save and prepare the documents. This will then bring you again to your document production page for this company. We have, again, over here, we have members' consents. We also have members' minutes and resolutions. Most importantly, your resolutions, your director minutes and resolutions for change of company name. So every time you generate a change for a company change summary will be prepared, included in your document production pack. So once I'm happy with that, I can simply download the document pack and send it to my client. So you can either email it, or again, you can always use our email functions. So I'm going to be doing that a little bit more in next week. So just to also familiarize to you step by step as well. And you can see over here that under the effective name, it's still pending, all right? So, which means that the 24 company test private label still exists into the system. So even if, for example, I go back to my main selection, I try to search this particular company based on the old name, it still appears as 24 January Company Test Private Limited. So how do I update this company's name into the new registered name? First, you need to ensure that this company name pending until approved is received from ACRA. And if you do not wish to wait for the approval, what you can simply do is go to the option tab and remove the pending status. By removing the pending status, you have the ability to change the effective date of the name change for this company. If let's say I want to change it tomorrow, I can simply click turn it. But let's say I want to do it today. I want to do it, I can do it only tomorrow. Click save. So that tomorrow, the date of the name will now be changed to the 24th January Firm Private Limited. Right, so this is how we process company name change in CAS 360. All right. So if there's no questions in this particular topic, I'll go to the page 112 of the manual, which is our last particular topic of today, global documents and company documents. So as I mentioned earlier, whenever you processed information or new company changes for a particular company, it will automatically get saved into the Documents tab. Now, in your navigation toolbar, earlier I've touched on this tool over here called Documents. Global Documents will display all the documents you have prepared for all the companies in CAS 360. So this will also help me show not only for a particular 24th January firm, but also the rest of the company that I have processed. So in the global documents, what's great about this tool is that you'll be able to filter based on the upcoming different types of filters. So for example, if I want annual return, or let's say annual return documents, all the annual return documents, and apply the filter, it will only display to me all the annual return documents that I have prepared for the companies in my CAS 360. So you can see over here that this is a great way for you to know if, let's say, you're processing an annual return and you want to know whether this company has already been lodged. So as you can see an example, I've prepared the documents. I've exported out the annual documents for, let's say, CAS 360 Singapore company, but I've yet to lodge the document to us. So this is to help me process, like I haven't finished the lodgement process, and therefore I need to lodge it through CAS 360. I'm also able to see other annual return documents, whether they have manually, for example, this example over here, this is another annual return documents I've prepared for another company, and the lodgement has been rejected. And generally, it will show to you the reasons or the report on why they've rejected your lodgement. And I have another example over here, manually filed. So essentially, if I didn't use CAS 360 to file the annual return of this company, I went straight to Accra to file the annual return. I can simply change the status to manually file instead. So you can see that there's no lodgement button for me to use to enable a lodgement if I've changed the status into manually file. So that's that. So you can filter a lot of different filters based on the due dates as well, whether it's overdue, for example, all right, or statuses. If I have, let's say, manually filed documents, so which means these are annual returns that I filed directly to Accra, not using CAS 360. And in this advanced filter, you can also save the type of filters you want to choose. So an example is that I have my RIC search. So what it does is that when I apply this filter, automatically the type of filter that I've starred or saved previously will automatically appear. So how do we do that? So for example, let's say I want to generate a company name changed. And send to client. I can simply click that and save the filter. So I can say company name changes pending, for example. So you can click and save so that this will be saved under my filter and I can use that for future use. So this is the difference. So this is how we can utilize the global documents template, the global documents page. Another option also is that in your your document alerts filter, you're able to filter based on due lodgement within 7 days, or if you have documents that you have already lodged or to be lodged, which means this documents over here, your annual return. And this lodgement is not just exclusively for annual return, but also available for share transactions. We have also over here, so I'm just going to clear this filter over here. Have documents that has already lodged but got rejected. This is an example of lodged document. Annual returns. If you're also not only managing annual returns for Singapore, but also for other jurisdictions, documents that has been electronically signed. So you can see I have 26 documents that went through a digital signing and signed but not lodged. So there's a lot of filters that you go through this process in your document alert filters to filter down the documents that you want to be able to see. Now, this is for the global documents. So obviously global documents shows to you all the documents you prepared for all the companies. And another option would be your company documents. So company documents, so I'm just going to use the same company. Company documents can be found under the companies tab called documents. So when you enter the profile of the company, you will see this function over here, documents. And this will show to you all the documents that has been prepared for this particular company that you have selected. So for this case, 24th January firm. So along the way throughout this exercise, we have changed to we did a company registrations. We did a also a register of office has been updated. And if you want to be able to see what were the changes that has been done, you can simply expand out this changes column over here to give you a bit more overview of what this document contains. So similarly, it's pretty similar to your global documents. The only difference that it's only showing the documents you have prepared for the company that you have selected. So the next thing I'll cover as well for the documents, which is both available in your global documents and also your company documents, is what we call the actions option tabs. Here you have the ability to do a couple of things. For example, you can edit the details of the document, latest status, and change the status of the document. Let's say instead of document prepared, you have, let's say, sent for review. So changing the status will affect the historical trail of the document. To be able to view the historical trail of the document, again, you can simply click on the option button and select history. This will show to you the entire historical trail and status of the documents that you have just prepared and change the status. So another example over here, have document prepared, sent for review, review passed, and DocuSign sent to client. This helps you to keep track on which items are still pending or actioned, or where the your documents is at in terms of action plan. Another few options that you can use under your action options tabs is what we call attachments. In the attachments, it allows you to open the folder to be able to see what are the documents inside. So for this case, I'm just going to do quickly go back again. Let's say my company name changed. I want to see what's inside the file of this company name change with the trace number 875. And simply go to my options, select attachments, and this will show me all the documents saved in this change of company name file with the trace number 871. So these are my director's minutes and resolutions that I've just prepared and downloaded into my computer. So said this will also get saved into CAS 360 so that in case that you lose the downloaded version, you still have the copy into your system. So this saves a lot of time of you having to track which documents, where, and the locations. And as well, you can add a comment here that please review the documents again as additional comment. So this is how we managed our documents and view the documents as well in CAS 360. Lastly, both in your global documents and company documents, you have the ability to generate export document list to see what are the documents that has been prepared for this company. So this will show to you the document types, trace numbers, and also the date, the status dates of the document. This is essentially useful, especially when you want to keep track of housekeeping matters for the company that you're preparing documents for. Right. So that's pretty much what we have for CAS 360 level 1 sessions. Fortunately, that we have to extend a little bit longer as there's a lot of functions that I want to cover as much as I can. So any questions so far? All right. So what's the difference between allotment and subscriptions? All right. For allotment subscription, usually when you set up a new company, you'll use subscription as for the share transactions, and allotment will be your new transaction if you have new shareholder for that particular company. So essentially, when you're setting up a company, automatically CAS 360 will select as subscription. So it's kind of pretty much similar. It's just that they select subscription automatically for new setup companies. Any more questions before we can close this session? So small company, you can find small company in CAS 360 as well. So I'm just going to give you an example. If you're setting up a small company or you need to change the company's status or company type into small group company, this is actually a very good question. And I'm also going to cover this one next week because this will determine the type of annual return that you'll need to set up. So when you select the company type over here, you have the ability to select a small company group. So depending on whether the definition of ACRA, because there are certain criteria they need to be able to comply before you can set this company a small group. But this is where you'll be able to select or change the company status subclass into a small group company. So I'm going to do this exercise next week as this will show to you how this setting, your company type, your company class and subclass will ultimately change the type of annual return process, declaration, and questionnaires that you're going to have to go through. Right? So type date and current date is nothing really big of a deal. It can be just the same as it is. So it's really up to you. So most of this is really up to you how you want to save the type date or current date. If, for example, you need to change it as of the change of the date for that particular subclass, a company subclass, you can simply change the type date as well. So if there's no questions, so I'm just going to type in my email address in the webinar chat. If you have any further questions, feel free to drop me an email. Unfortunately, the web session is gonna close quite very soon as it's limited access at this time. Thank you so much for coming. If you have yet to register for the training session for next week, please do so so you get the slots. The slots are limited for only up to about, I think, 20 people at the moment for the session. This is to make sure that I can answer the questions of everyone during the sessions. But if you do have any further questions about CAS 360 level 1, feel free to drop me an email as well.